Good afternoon, everybody. I am Franka Martinovic. I'm Director of Customer Support at Intercom. And today I'm joined by Rati Zvirawa, Director of our Product Manager at Intercom. Firstly, welcome, Rati.
Thank you, Franca. Hi.
Hey. Something powerful that came out of the main stage of Pioneer today was this discussion about customer journey being broken, right? And I think when you're at the receiving end, when you are that customer, you really all you think about is this company that you're interacting with. You don't think about these silos and different parts of the org that we on the other side are like, you're in charge of this and we're in charge of that. And I think what we're saying with this new customer agent is that there is one agent that can rule them all, one agent that can fix all of this. And you have been at the forefront of bringing this vision into life. So I would love to chat to you about today, about all of this, how we're going to make it easier on the customers. I'm going to start with a simple question to bring us in, which is basically what is currently broken in the customer experience? Where is the most friction when a customer interacts with a business? And why is it a problem in the first place?
Yeah. Thanks for the intro, Franca. It's been quite interesting. I think when we all look at the history of customer service, if you will, it's been a forever vision, I think, for everyone to want to have this cohesive customer experience. And one of the biggest struggles that a lot of companies have when you think about how teams are set up in departments, it's really hard to, for example, have one person that can navigate across multiple crafts. So you have departments. You have a sales department, you have a success department, you have a support department, you have an onboarding department. Sometimes you have like multiple departments that are facing your customers to interact with them. And the biggest struggle that we have there is because these different teams are setting up the customer experience, for the customer who comes forward, it's really hard for them to know where to get started. And so we put the burden then on the customer to know if I have a support question, I should go on the chat bubble. If I have a success question, I should email them. If I have a sales question, I should call them. And so this is one of the biggest problems that we're facing with how do we make sure that customers have this single experience when they come into your business, and then the business figures out how to answer that question versus putting the burden on that customer.
Yeah. And how do we see AI tying all of that together, I guess?
Yeah. I think what's been great about AI and what it's brilliant at doing is it can take on multiple roles with a lot of depth. When you think about customer-facing teams, some of the biggest things that you have to do, no matter what customer-facing role you have to deeply understand the business, you have to deeply understand the product, and then you have to deeply perform well at the skill that you're going after, whether that goal is to help convert a customer over to the business or to activate them as they're onboarding or to make sure that they're satisfied and you've resolved their issue. And what AI can do really brilliantly that I think is becoming a convergent force is that it can understand the product really well, it can understand the business really well, and then it has the skill to be able to perform across every one of your goals seamlessly. And that's really hard for a human to do. It's really hard to hire someone who is excellent at all the different roles on top of having the depth of product and a depth of understanding of the business. And so this is why I think when we look at where the technology is now today, it's the right timing and where AI can really help us build this experience together.
Absolutely. There is no humans who can do that. I don't think, not yet. I don't know, maybe in the future. Compared to how things work today, what would it look like if customers could interact with that one customer agent across the whole journey? So we have sales and onboarding and support and success ultimately. How would that change our experience? How do we see that looking in real life?
Yeah, a common phrase that we've been using is the single door experience, where instead of having your customers needing to know where to click, whether it's a prospect or a customer, you come in and there's one place that you go to ask your questions. So if I'm a prospect, I know if I speak to this agent, I'm going to have an understanding of what this product does. Does it meet my pain point? When I then decide to purchase or convert and I'm using the product, I can go back to that agent and it remembers my goals. It understands what I'm looking for and it can marry together what I'm looking for and what the business is possible to do. And then the agent will know when it's, oh, this is a question coming in. If I'm a VIP customer, maybe it escalates me directly to a human that's best to serve me in that moment. Or it helps me along the way as I'm waiting for a human to help me. So it's really having this almost concierge, if you will, that is by your side as a customer. And then when you need to interact with the human in the business, it's not blocking you. It then writes you effectively to do that.
Sounds fantastic. And can you share briefly how Fin is already working across different parts of the customer journey? What makes it capable of delivering such a unified experience? What is it about Fin?
Yeah. So Fin, and I've mentioned this a little bit when we think about Fin across the customer journey. It's all from the prospect side when you're trying to convert a customer to activating them and onboarding, and then during the sort of retention phase, if you will, where you're trying to answer customer questions or help them through success. We've been seeing Fin act across these different roles already today. One of the examples, we have a customer called Elegant Themes. For example, they were using Fin originally for support and the support use case, which is to resolve issues. But due to some changes in their business, they needed to start using Fin and their prospect flows. And they started having Fin talk to a lot of their prospects, answer questions like product discovery to understand if the product meets their needs, but also using our guidance to be able to do things like offer discounts in the right moment. And it was great to see the results that they saw with having less humans interacting and Fin being involved in more of this conversation. They managed to maintain their conversion rate, which is incredible. If you think about that from a business sense, that's you're putting your humans to the tasks that are more suited for having that human relationship and are harder to scale. And then having Fin 24/7 working, having instant responses, and then recognizing the right moment to be able to provide any discounting to drive that conversion. So that's been incredible to see already. And then moving beyond that, what we're building today with Customer Agent is really building in those skills in Fin. So from the ground up, the way we're building up that the agents is really thinking about the goals. What's a goal of an agent that is focused on sales? And then being able to navigate as the conversation is flowing with the end user, that agent is able to recognize if it's operating in the right goals and the right way to interact with that end user.
Wow. That all sounds really exciting to me as a CS leader. So I'm curious, like, what do you see people in the roles of CS leaders today? How do you see their roles progressing in this world?
I uh, I know our this event is called Pioneer, but I think it actually reflects really well how at Intercom we've always seen our CS leaders, and I think now more than ever, it is true. CS leaders in the past 2.5, 3 years, since we've seen AI agents taking force and people who've been adopting Fin, they've gone through the AI transformation. They've needed to understand how do you train these agents, how do you deploy them, what is the best experience and the AI conversation experience to go on the front lines. And CS leaders, as more end user facing teams are starting to think about introducing AI agents to customers, CS leaders have an important role in being able to lead their organizations forward. And so I really see CS leaders as almost the voice that can help the business understand how to drive a customer service, a customer experience that is driven by AI, and they're best suited to do that. I've been quite impressed. We've always at Intercom, we're learning a lot from our CS leaders, and they've been a great vehicle for us to understand how much AI can scale across the life cycle.
Absolutely. It's such an exciting time for someone to take on a role like that and bring their organization to the on that journey. And then apart from leaders, right, there's still a role for other humans. So where do other humans live in this setup? Like,
Yeah.
where do they bring in more value?
Yeah, and I love that framing of that question because it's I think sometimes we get questions of like, are humans, what will happen to the human team? Are they still valid? And I think we've seen that in the service space, that it more so changed the role of humans than to like erase humans, if you will. And I think when we think about cutting across the life cycle, new roles will be created. So for example, you have an agent that's now moving beyond the support space into the rest of the customer experience. You need people that are understanding what's the best content that's needed, what's the right way to train this agent. How can we make sure that the conversation design is how we want it to be across the customer lifecycle? So I'll see more humans taking on these new roles to manage these agents. And then second to that, humans are still valuable in the customer facing interaction. It's not so much that it's taking away any need for a human to be customer facing, but it's making sure that as a business you can scale in an intelligent way. Where is the most highest value for humans to interact with your end users, and where is it best for an AI who can instantly respond and handle those queries? And so I see the sort of they still the front lines, if you will, facing role that is still available for humans, but being quite strategic in where you deploy your human effort. And then the second one is about operating it and making sure that you can manage your agent and deploy it and scale it.
Yeah, it's such an exciting time for them too. Like I see this in my team. There's just so much more that they can bring to the table. There's so much ideas and so many projects that I could take on and so much more that I can offer to our customers. So it's just, I can't wait to see how much further can we go. What are the other things that we can put forward to the table?
Yeah. Oh, one thing I did forget to mention, which I think we talk about as well at Intercom, is beyond the sort of operational side and the efficiencies of AI, what we've seen a lot when we speak to our customers and even with the work that we do in customer agent, there's a positive impact on the human teams that start to deploy AI agents, because sometimes there's a lot of repetitive work. And of course, AI agents, especially Fin, can do beyond the simple, but sometimes the simple and the repetitive is what's taking up a lot of the time for the human team. And we see as you deploy AI agents that human teams are quite happy because they're starting to handle things that are using the best skill that they have versus the area that is like, of course, they can handle it, but it's not the best use of their skill that they can provide to the business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then as we lead more into the shift, right? What's the one trap you'd urge folks to avoid? And maybe one opportunity that they should definitely lean into?
Yeah. I'd say the trap and the opportunity, for me, I see it as both. I think the biggest trap I see is, especially if you're new in the space of deploying an AI agent, people get they want to control the experience. And so they deploy it in a very low amount of volume or exposure to customers. And what we've seen is that really blocks your ability to understand the potential impact of an AI agent. And so an example of this is if someone has 1,000 conversations that are coming in, they'll deploy it to 10 to see how Fin or any AI agent is performing. And what that means is you limit your impact and your understanding of how an AI agent can impact your business. And so I'd encourage people to think, how much can you deploy your AI agent first? See what happens in that interaction. Where is it performing well? What do you need to improve? Where is it the most valuable to have your humans be the first touch point versus an AI agent? And so that's both the trap and opportunity. Don't get stuck in the testing and wanting to make it perfect, especially if you're on such a low volume. It's really hard for you to understand where this excels and where it doesn't excel. And then be bold in deploying an AI agent. That's the, I think, biggest opportunity, and you'll be surprised by the impact. I've seen it here, even internally at Intercom, but also in a lot of our customers. A lot of people think the business is more complex, that an agent can understand it, and they don't realize the technology has advanced quite a lot, that they see when they do deploy, they are quite impressed with how effective it is and being able to handle their customer facing queries.
There's definitely that slight fear. I think it comes from wanting to be in control. And it's like, what if I put this ahead? How is it? But then we do that every day with our humans, right? Like we don't have full control. We don't know who's going to say what at one point. And we still, just because that's been the way for many, many years,
Yeah.
we just kind of learn to live with it. And now with AI agent, we kind of want to replicate that, but it's like we just kind of have to let go of that control, and that's what we did and found it. It just made such a huge difference for our customers.
In many ways, it feels like you almost have more visibility. It's when you have, of course, it depends, but I find people are watching Fin and the AI agent way more than they necessarily are watching over the shoulder of a new hire who's starting in a role. But also at Intercom, we've done a lot to give you tools to be able to control the agent. Of course, it's deterministic and it's AI technology, but we do have a suite of tools to help you really analyze how it's performing. So it's going to be easy for you to spot where Fin is maybe not working the best and where it's doing really well. And then it also is giving you guidance on where to improve it. You have tools to adjust how Fin is operating and training it. And then we have a testing suite that really helps you give confidence there. So I think maybe 2.5 years ago, that was much scarier. But if you look at Intercom and Fin today, I think Fin really gives you that tool to be able to switch it on and off and scale it up or down as well.
Absolutely. I'm glad you touched on that, actually. The ability to just sometimes click a button and be like, yeah, put that into production is unbelievable. Okay, and then to bring us back a tiny bit, do you think that companies that are really leaning into this vision early, are they gaining a competitive edge, let's say?
Yeah.
And if so, how?
100%. If we look back, even before AI agents, we know, and we've seen it multiple studies beyond just looking at what we've done here at Intercom, that show that an excellent customer experience is a competitive advantage. It impacts revenue, right? If someone is coming to your business and they have an excellent experience with your team, their questions are answered, they feel valued, they want to spend money on your business, they want to retain, they want to continue using you, they become advocates to your business. And AI agents only make that easier for businesses to be able to deploy because you can scale now. You can have something on 24/7 that is delivering an excellent experience and allows you to competitively show up in the world with your business. And so there's multiple company examples of this where they've put customer success first and continue to grow and excel. And companies who get on and prioritize this first, and especially using AI, I think have a huge competitive advantage.
Right. That's great to hear. And I'm glad that we're on that side of history anyway. Finally, Rati, what makes you confident personally in this vision of one unified AI agent?
Yeah. I when we look at how when we look at the customer facing role and the reason we've built organizations and tools the way we have is because of the limitations of technology and our limitations as humans. You can only take on, it's really hard to hire someone who can do multiple roles at the same time. And I think with AI, we start to see now whether it's Intercom or someone else doing it, it is this convergent force that is allowing for one single front door for a business to have and serve that one customer excellently throughout their life cycle. And this is why I strongly believe in the customer agent, because customers do want this. They want to go to one place and have their questions answered and to understand that like this thing remembers my goals. I don't have to repeat myself. I'm not getting handed over multiple times and having to repeat what my goals are. It can guide me through the product or the business to understand what I should do and where I should do. It has memory. It's got context of me. So this is why I believe a customer agent is, if you are valuing customer experience, there's no way that there isn't going to be a customer agent for teams. And then looking more operationally, when you look in the market, some people are deploying multiple AI agents that are disconnected. And you need to think about orchestrating all of those, which is quite a challenge for a business to think about orchestrating something themselves. And here at Intercom, the way we're thinking about having this intelligent layer that orchestrates across multiple goals, I think is the way that makes sure customer experience is preserved, but also operationally, you have one place to orchestrate your end user experience. So that's why I think whether it's us doing it or someone else, and I'm glad we're doing it, that the customer agent is the future.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, firstly, thank you very much for chatting to me, Rati. Secondly, thank you very much for bringing this vision into life. All of us at Intercom here are really excited as to how Finn is going to take more and more of that life cycle and what comes next. Thank you.